Buenos dias. Good morning. I hope you are well, staying positive and focused on what you can control. My name is Patricia Mota, and I serve as President and CEO of HACE, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, national nonprofit whose mission since 1982 is to positively impact workplaces by cultivating the pipeline of Latino talent, providing our community the insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. And for those of you following politics, congratulations to the next mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, to give that shout out. And a couple key announcements for ACE. If you are seeking leadership development programming, we have the deadline this Friday, April 10th, for our Emerging Latino Leaders program and the Multicultural Leadership program, which is geared for those that are new to leading ERGs, those that have been identified to lead a team within a year. Great opportunity to network with other folks, but most importantly, to gain some great tools, resources, and development for your career. And lastly, we have ACE's big event, biggest fundraiser of the year, our National Leadership Summit and Gala, taking place the end of this month, April 20th and 21st. We hope to see you there. There's an opportunity to engage in person, virtually, professional development, workshops, networking, and also just a great time to celebrate and acknowledge those folks that are helping us with the ASA mission and our corporate partners that are supporting the ASA mission. So I hope to see you there. Check out the ASA website for more information to learn more how to engage. Again, whether you're in person, whether it's virtual as well. So please join us. And now to get us started for our Cafecito con ACE, we have our special guest here this morning, Dr. Angel Luis Diaz, or Dr. Angel Luis Diaz. Good morning. He is the Vice President of Technology, Capabilities, and Innovation at Discover. Buenos días. Dr. Angel, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿cómo tú estás? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. So the drill for all of us tuning in and for our special guest is the question of the day is, how do you like your cafecito prepared or your morning beverage of choice?
Oh, I like my cafecito negro y bien colado.
Bien colado. How about you all joining us in the chat? We want to hear from you how you're enjoying your coffee this morning. And please, we'll get to questions and engagement. So make sure that those of you tuning in are dropping your questions, your comments in the chat section, the comment section. Dr. Angel, let us know about who you are. One of the things that I love about Cafecito con ACE is we get to expose great leaders like yourself to the ACE network, the ACE familia. So tell us about your background, how you got to where you are today.
Well, I grew up in Arecibo, Puerto Rico, and it's a fun journey from Arecibo to going to university in the continental United States, where I was fortunate enough to get my doctorate, do some research, build products, and here I am now at Discover at this intersection between, technology innovation, delivering the art of the possible, and helping people get better at their craft with the goal of all of us achieving a better financial future. So every day I get up in the morning and I'm excited about two things. Thing number one, obviously to see my familia, right? You're always excited for that. But then two, to come into the office because it is such an amazing place to work and to be with everybody.
Dr. Angel gave us the very high level overview of how he got to his career. I know there's a lot more there, Dr. Angel, in terms of your story, the trials and tribulations, because you are in a leadership role and in an area, technology, right, that we hear that there's such a need for more representation of diverse talent, Latino talent. So any advice that you have for folks that perhaps are considering to get in the technology or that you would share with our audience?
Absolutely. So let's double click. On that high level and go deeper. So when I grew up in Arecibo, Puerto Rico, before school, I would do farm stuff, right? Which is not very pleasant. And I always, kind of said, why can't we use technology to do better? Like, why do I need to do this? And my grandmother was an important person because she would say, you know what? Study hard. You can invent something. You can do something. She pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. And eventually I went to university. At university, I was focused, and you always get into that question, do you want to stay in school? Do you want to get a job? Do you need that big, what is that, right? And I was fortunate. I had a colleague, Tim Berners-Lee. He's actually the inventor of the web. Took me under his wing, and we started working some of the web standards. Then
the inventor of the web.
Yes, he created a lot of the HTML standards that we get to enjoy, and I
you
was
just skimmed through that.
Okay. What was that?
I said that's a big deal. Okay.
No,
great.
it's a huge deal. And back in those days, it was the early days, right? So I got to participate and do research on many of the standards that created the web. But if you look at that journey, and you kind of abstract from that for a moment, there's something in common. Those people and many other people supported me in my career. I am the beneficiary of others. So what does that teach you? Well, that certainly teaches me that I have a responsibility to help others through their careers well. Pay it forward. Because there's always someone behind you. There's always someone who could benefit from your wisdom, your advocacy, your mentorship, right? So as I've progressed my career, I've always been respectful and thankful, and continue to be thankful of folks who take me under their wing. But at the same time, and this is especially important in technology, that you help others advance their career. Because by building, the art of building amazing products that brings together, what our clients need, our customer needs, and technology relies on a diverse workforce. A diverse set of skills, different types of technology skills, but also backgrounds. And that helps you build amazing products.
Wow. You talked about familia, right? Our abuelitas, humble beginnings. And you talked about people and those that you surrounded yourself with that helped you along the way. And I think many of us can relate with that and so many levels, but also be inspired, right? In terms of by your story and how you got to a role that you are, because you talk about humility and culture, a lot of values that we uphold that we don't have to, sometimes we think we have to put to the side when we're looking to climb the ranks, but that are beautiful values to continue to uphold, because that's our authentic selves, right? As we continue to grow in our leadership. One thing that I love that you shared as well as at HACE, our vision is to empower individuals to achieve their highest potential, not only for themselves, but for our communities that we represent. So that paying it forward piece. Are there other ways that you would share that you sought out to pay it forward through your role and through your journey?
Oh, absolutely. And maybe I'll kind of break this down into two pieces, just some personal things and then some things that I think Discover is doing that just makes it such an awesome place to just thrive and be at. But this notion of craft, right, in technology, it's constantly changing, right? So you can't be stale. You need to constantly improve and get better. So one thing that we do here within Discover, and that I've always done personally, is to bring people together to improve their craft. And in the technology world, that's called open source. So we get together, open communities outside of work, and we work and we build our craft together. And internally, we do that. Now, recently, we decided, well, why not share that craft with the world? So I typically don't do this, but go to technology.discover.com, and you can see actually our people, our diverse workforce sharing their technology craft with the goal of helping others get better. Now, that's all well and good, but guess what? By sharing your craft with others, you also make your craft better. Let me tell you, there is nothing more stressful than trying to teach somebody something else, because it means that you need to know it really well, right? So this endless loop of teaching, learning is something that I do personally with my colleagues and my friends at work, but that we also do in external communities.
Yeah, I love that. It's except I think sometimes if I get an invitation to speak on a topic I'm not too familiar with, I like to take it because it helps me do the research and the work to then learn it, right? And to
Exactly.
take a deeper dive. So sometimes we have a tendency to say like, no, I'm not, but looking at it as an opportunity to learn and to build, that new craft, or to take a deeper dive in that specific area of subject matter expertise that you can do by teaching it and paying it forward. So I love that. And I know Discover is a great partner of ours. Discover will be at our National Leadership Summit and Gala event taking place on April 20th and 21st. Dr. Angel may be there, right? I know we're talking about that as well too.
High probability.
High probability for this. So you all that are tuning in, come and get to meet the folks at Discover, and maybe Dr. Angel as well. My last question, and then we'll open it up to questions or comments from folks that are tuning in that want to get to know more from Dr. Angel, is regarding the theme for the year. This year, ASA is talking about, accelerating equity with action and accountability. What initiatives would you say that Discover has administered or is administering to be able to help ASA with this? But just in general, I mean, it's a big topic in terms of accelerating equity for all.
Yeah, and it is so great that this is, our theme here for ASA, right? Accelerating equity with action and accountability. So remember I said I'm excited about two things when I wake up in the morning. One is coming into the office, right? And the other, of course, is my familia, and then my work. So let me start with a little bit of data, right? Last year we issued our diversity, equity, and inclusion report. And when you look at the data, 51% of Discover employees are people of color compared to the industry average 37%. And that's just not just Chicago, where I'm now, but Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Columbus, et cetera. When you look at our executive brands, EVPs, SVPs, 31% of our executives are people of color compared to the industry average of around 20. So when I wake up in the morning and go to Discover to be excited, it's because I have a sense of belonging. I look to my left and my right, there's people like me, right? And of course, we do not rest on our laurels. We continuously have, because the question is not just data, but actions, right? There's things that we do to help foster that community and help us all improve. Obviously, employee resource groups, you mentioned that earlier, right? Everybody who's listening to this should always ask, hey, can I get engaged in an employee resource group? Because it helps you find that sense of belonging and build your network. There's two that I'm a part of, but of course we've got resource groups around, female colleagues, Asian colleagues, people with disabilities, military veterans, or LGBTQ plus communities. We have HOLA, which stands for Helping Organize Latino Achievement, and of course also BOLD, which is our Black Organizational Leadership at Discover. These are the ERGs that we have are so active and such a great place for doing that. Now, of course, with ASE, we have our ASE Leadership Program, right, which seeks to find potential Latinos, and a Mujeres de ASE, right?
Yes.
Which is also something that we're very proud of participating in. In addition to that, though, and you mentioned, of course, the conference that's coming up, participating in external conferences and allowing and providing the vehicle for our employees to do that is so important. I recently gave the opening keynote at the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers in North Carolina, it was last year, but it was like November or so. And I had the pleasure of coming on stage after, this guy was hyping the audience with Daddy Yankee. So, you had Daddy Yankee music, people dancing, and then I get to go talk. So yeah, that was cool. But it was a lot of fun, right? And that conference was so amazing. Why? Because we were there in force. We were meeting with other people. We were sharing our craft, right? Our engineering craft, learning from each other. So seeking out those conferences like the one that's coming up in April here, right, is a great way to do that. And at Discover, those are just some examples of the data and actions we put in place, right, to help us achieve that.
Absolutely. I know you all are participating at the summit, the Chief Diversity Officer Roundtable, have sent participants to our programs and just engaged throughout the year. So just excellent examples in terms of how you all are doing, Discover is doing in terms of accelerating equity. It's we all know that there's there's still work that continues to be done, but it's the piece that, that there's at least effort and consistency that's being done to be able to support diverse talent, right? Not only in excelling in their careers, but ensuring that we're bringing them in and feeling them, having that sense of belonging, right? And you shared your own personal examples with that. I know we're getting ready. The time is going by quickly here. We have a lot of folks from Puerto Rico on our team and the HACE family. I know that are part of here, and folks that are in technology or seeking to get in technology as well, or looking for ways to get more involved to be able to accelerate equity for themselves and for the companies that they represent. And so I don't know if we have any questions or comments going on, but I will ask you, Dr. Angel, one final question in terms of what are you most hopeful for, or a positive story that gives you hope for this year?
This year, I think when I look back at what we together as society has been through and where we're doing now in this kind of new renaissance, there is an energy and a connective tissue that I feel within our community, but also across communities. And what gives me the most energy is that opportunity to connect those communities together. We're doing that in our ERGs. And when you do that, you get this network effect, and it takes the sense of belonging, which we have, right, when we're together, but it provides an exponential multiplier, right? And I think, when you kind of put that in perspective, the art of the possible is only limited by our imagination. So I think that's kind of what gives me energy for this year, is connecting those dots and bringing people forward together.
Okay, the art of the possible. I see we have two questions we're waiting on. So Sergio Lopez Peralta, hello to you. What's the best career advice you received?
Oh my gosh. I think the the best career advice I received was from the CEO. I had worked at IBM at the time, who came to me, and I was talking about, this is back in the early days of the web, and I was like, oh, we're working on this thing, HTML, it's going to change the world. And he goes, son, I'm sure it's going to do that, right? But whatever you do, whatever job you do it better than it's ever been done before, and you'll make an impact in the world. And I have carried that advice forward. I always try to do whatever it is that I'm doing, to do it together with others, but to do it as best as possible. And then I'm confident that I'm making a difference. It's easy. It's a simple piece of advice, but you forget about it.
A mindset. Love that. And then we have Alvaro. What is your favorite, most rewarding open source project that you have been a part of?
Great question. My gosh, that is an awesome. I got to tell you. So, I got a couple gray hairs. I've been a part of open source for many years, from the early days of Linux and Apache. I know I'm getting a little nerdy, through something called OpenStack and the cloud. The most exciting and I think vibrant sets of projects fall into two categories. One is cloud technology. Now, for us technologists, specifically Kubernetes. And then two, the art of the possible around artificial intelligence. And for those of us who are nerds, TensorFlow. So those are the two projects and two communities that have been very, very good to be a part of, where I have grown personally, and they're very, very vibrant. And in fact, the world's biggest open source cloud conference is going to be in Chicago in November, and Discover is going to be there in force. So show up.
Everything's in Chicago this year, I've noticed. It's happening in Chicago. So I realize, as you said, web, maybe not everybody from certain generations may know, like, that's the internet, right?
Correct. Well, that's exactly. It's how when you go to like a web browser or using your phone, it's how it shows up. It's the stuff that shows up.
And then the cloud. Shall I dare ask you about ChatGPT? But I don't think we have enough time.
Oh, we definitely need more than 20 minutes for that conversation.
I'm just saying it's moving fast. I've been doing the research, reading the data. It's quite intriguing. The one thing they said is like they have the same number of followers in 1 week, subscribers that Twitter gained in 10 years. That's super powerful. And I think we all need to be paying attention to that some shape, way, or form. Dr. Angel, final remarks or comments?
Thank you all for your time. Do not forget to pay it forward, because everybody in this call is at some point in their journey, and there's always somebody you can help on the way.
Love that. Do not forget to pay it forward. Thank you for paying it forward today with us today, Angel. We appreciate your time, insights, and expertise. And to all of you tuning in, hasta la próxima. Until next time, hope to see you at the summit. Bye-bye.
Bye.